Hello grade 4s and welcome to another math lesson. Today we'll be looking at homework answers for classifying triangles, and this is found in your workbooks on page number 825. This is lesson 16.1. So if we use the geometric terms to describe what is shown and be specific, more as specific as possible. So question number 7. If we look at the line L, M, and HI, these lines run next to each other. It seems that they will not cross one another, which means they are parallel lines. If we look at line EF and line JH, we see that we have a square there in the center. That square means that this is a right angle, which means that these are perpendicular lines. Question number 9. If we look at the point there, it has only one point, so that means this is a point. Question number 10. Look at the roads. The roads look like question number 8, which means they are perpendicular lines. Question number 11. These two roads run next to each other, which means they are parallel lines. And if we look at these roads here, they do not have a 90-degree crossing, but they do cross one another, which means these are intersecting lines. Question number 13 to 15. Draw what is described by the geometric terms. Question number 13 is perpendicular lines. Question number 14 is intersecting lines. Question number 15 is parallel lines. Let's go to question number 19. So in this question, I'll be using some tools to better explain the question. So let's look at line AB. Line AB will be described as red, line AB, and line CD will be described as blue line. So these lines run next to each other, which means they will never cross. They are parallel lines. So the question says line AB is parallel to line CD, which we have just drawn, and line CD is perpendicular, which I will demonstrate with the pink line, to line EF, which is there. So if those lines are perpendicular to one another, describe the relationship between line AB and EF. If the line AB and CD is parallel to one another, and line DC and EF is perpendicular to one another, that means that line EF and AB should also be perpendicular to one another. So that means that there should also be a square there. So let's look at our answer. Since line AB is parallel to line CD, which is perpendicular to line EF, line AB is also perpendicular to line EF. Which geometric term would be used to describe the power cable shown on the right? So if I draw some lines here, make this a little bit bigger and green. So if I draw lines here from this point to that point, and from this point to that point, those lines will never cross. They don't cross. They run next to each other. And lines that run next to each other are called parallel lines. So the answer should be B, parallel lines. Take a moment to pause the video just to write down your answers. For question number 1 to 3, use the geometric terms to describe what is shown by a specific as possible. So if we look at the question number 1, we see that there are a 90-degree angle. This 90-degree angle means that these lines are right angles, which means they are perpendicular lines. If we go to question number 2, there's no right angle, and this seems to be more than 90 degrees, which means that these lines are intersecting lines. Now, what happens if we don't have more than one line? If we only have one line? These are points on a line, which means they are 3 points on a line. Now, let's look at question number 4. Name 3 different lines. So if we look at the different lines, we can see that A and B is a line, or A and F is a line. So we can say that's a line. We can say A and B is a line. Just A and F is a line. We can say that yellow, E and L is a line. We can say that I'm just drawing points from point E now. So E and D is a line. I can say that E and C is a line. So those are all the lines that are not even. I can say that E and B is a line, and I can say that E and A is a line. So those are all the possible answers only from point E. Now let's go further to say C and D is a line. I can even say that, let's make that blue. If and G is a line, I can even say that a black line. B and F is a line. So there are different types of lines. All of those answers are different types of lines. So let's look at this answer. So they are only giving us 3 types of 3 lines there. So I will be marking those lines by drawing the color on them. So EL is black. So I can start with E till L. Then I can go to red, which will be lines A, B. So line A, B will be a line. And then also a blue color, a little bit darker. So line C, D. So we'll start by C and then go to D, which is a line. Then we carry on to question number 5. Name a pair of parallel lines. Now, which means they need to run next to each other. So we can see that there are only 2 lines that run next to each other, and that is lines CD and FG. Question number 6. Name 2 lines that are perpendicular to one another. Perpendicular means that they need to have a 90-degree angle. So there's a 90-degree angle and there's a 90-degree angle. Now these 2 lines, AB, runs perpendicular to line CD, and AB runs perpendicular to line FJ or G. So CD, or parallel, CD and AB are perpendicular to one another. You could also have said AB and FG. So name 2 intersecting lines. That just means that these lines need to intersect one another with not a 90-degree angle, which means line LE and CD are running perpendicular to one another or intersecting one another. That would be all for today's lesson, and I hope that you have written down all your answers, and hope to see you in the next lesson.